We know that social media is having a strong impact everywhere, but is social media making its way into IT, and do you think it should, and if it is, what impact is it having?
Well, thanks, Dan. I appreciate the opportunity to be here, and thanks very much to Vala and Enterasys. And Phil, it's a pleasure being here with you today. And to your question, social media is absolutely transforming the way enterprises work, the way IT works, and obviously the way individuals work. We've studied this quite a bit, and what we see at IDC is that there's this notion of a social business, and what we see is that very few application suppliers that are developing apps that people will use in different departments of organizations are not thinking about social media. And we think if they're not thinking about social media, they're really not thinking about the future of business, because we see that socialytics, this idea of bringing together customer data, social data, and web analytics, is really the future, and that intersection is where your data becomes very, very valued. So the idea that you've got your standard corporate data, but now you've got this social feed from customers, from enterprise users within the organization, and that intersection of that data you have about your customers and the data they're creating about their experiences with your product is incredibly valuable, and that intersection is where we really see a lot of interesting things happening. When we talk about these social networks, they're developing networks, and they are different than any network people have ever used before. They are organic. So, for example, when you join an organization, or 10 years ago when you joined an organization, the people on your directory or the people in your email list were people that you really didn't know, and it took a number of years to get to know them, and only over time did that email list become relevant to you in your job. Well, what's happened with social networks are that they are interconnected networks of people that are relevant to us as individuals. What do I mean by that? Well, they're flexible, they're self-healing, they optimize themselves, they update themselves, they configure themselves. So, for example, the example we like to give is LinkedIn. So we are all of an age where we used the Rolodex, or we had a little box of business cards on our desk, and we would try to stay in touch with each other throughout our careers by writing the other number on the card, or writing your mobile number on the card, or when Vala would go to a different company, you write the new, and you scratch it out, you wait till you meet him again, and then you replace that card. Well, what's happened with something like LinkedIn is it is now an organic network that is always current, because we keep our information current, and we share that information with the people we want to share it with. So that network is continuously adapting, and the trick now is how do you take these networks and adapt them in business and use them not only for people's individual business goals, but for the enterprise's business goals. And that's really what we're talking about today. So why are people using social business? Here's some survey data we have from over 700 customers where it's about acquiring information. It's about sharing knowledge. It's about communicating with your customers, and it's about communicating with internal colleagues. And one of my favorites on this chart is right in the middle, which is moved up. It's about making better decisions. People are making decisions with this data, and that's really key. The benefits of social media, not surprising, it's easy to use. These things are self-starter networks. You go to Facebook, it's the way it's designed, you easily figure out what to do. You figure out how to use Twitter. You figure out how to use LinkedIn. This is really important because if they weren't easy to use, people wouldn't adopt them. And you can see some other benefits from our survey here is that your relationships get stronger. It makes me more knowledgeable. And again, I believe, and this has always been a question of execs, does it make people more productive, or are they just playing with social media toys? People believe they are more productive using these tools. To that point of productivity, what you find is that in this particular survey, we have a significant percentage of the people who took the survey. How much time do you save by using social media? Well, you can see that up to 30% of the people feel that they're saving a significant amount of time. So you've got people saving over 25% of their time using this kind of social media. And then you can see it gets even higher, where you get down to 15% of the people think that they're saving more than 50%. That's really compelling, and people believe that they are more productive with these products. So it's a very long answer to your question, but in short, customers are using these, enterprises are starting to use them, and it's a very, very interesting opportunity.